Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing, sleepy story written by Pumby. Tonight we journey to the ancient Mediterranean, where salt-kissed winds carry tales of heroes and distant shores. Let yourself settle into comfort as we follow the legendary Odysseus on a voyage designed not for adventure, but for rest. Allow your breathing to slow, your shoulders to drop, and your mind to drift as gently as a ship upon calm waters. The bronze-hulled vessel rocks slowly beneath a canopy of endless stars, each wave a whispered lullaby against the weathered wood. You can smell the ocean's ancient perfume, that mixture of brine and seaweed that has remained unchanged since the world was young. Tonight, even the legendary king of Ithaca seeks nothing more than peaceful slumber upon these eternal waters. Odysseus stands at the bow of his ship, no longer the restless warrior driven by ambition or the desperate wanderer fighting to return home. This evening, he is simply a man seeking the gentle embrace of sleep beneath the Mediterranean moon. His weathered hands rest upon the smooth rail, fingers tracing patterns worn smooth by countless voyages. The calluses from sword and oar have softened, and his grip speaks not of conquest, but of quiet contemplation. The crew moves about their duties with the unhurried grace of those who have learned that the sea rewards patience above all virtues. Their bare feet make soft sounds against the deck planks, each footstep a gentle percussion that blends with the rhythmic splash of water against the hull. No commands are barked across the deck tonight. Instead, whispered words pass between the sailors like secrets shared among old friends. Above, the sail billows lazily in the evening breeze, its white canvas catching moonlight like captured clouds. The wind carries with it the scent of distant islands, hints of wild thyme and olive groves, the sweet fragrance of night-blooming jasmine that grows wild along forgotten coastlines. Each breath fills the lungs with the essence of places where time moves as slowly as honey dripping from a wooden spoon. The ship's lanterns cast warm, golden pools of light that dance and sway with the vessel's gentle motion. Shadows stretch and contract like living things, creating patterns that shift and change with each roll of the waves. The bronze fittings gleam softly in the lamplight, their surfaces polished smooth by salt air and countless hands. Everything aboard this vessel speaks of journeys taken not in haste, but with the measured pace of those who understand that arrival is far less important than the peaceful passage itself. Odysseus closes his eyes and listens to the symphony of the sea. The water speaks in a language older than words, a constant murmur of waves against wood, the gentle creak of rope and timber, the soft whisper of wind through rigging. Each sound blends into the next, creating a lullaby that has sung travellers to sleep since the first ships ventured beyond sight of land. His thoughts drift like the vessel itself, moving from one memory to another without urgency or purpose. He recalls not battles won or enemies defeated, but quiet moments stolen between adventures. The way morning mist rose from the harbour at Ithaca, the sound of his wife's laughter echoing through the halls of his palace, the warmth of bread fresh from the oven, shared with friends around a simple wooden table. The ocean stretches endlessly in all directions, its surface broken only by the gentle swells that lift and lower the ship in a rhythm as steady as a sleeping heart. Moonlight creates a silver pathway across the water, as if the gods themselves have laid down a road of light for weary travellers. The horizon blurs into gentle obscurity, where sea meets sky in a seamless embrace of deepest blue. One of the crew members approaches with a cup of warm wine, its surface steaming slightly in the cool night air. The liquid carries the taste of grapes ripened under Mediterranean sun, mixed with honey and warming spices that spread comfort through the body like a gentle flame. Odysseus accepts the cup with a nod of gratitude, wrapping his fingers around its warm ceramic surface. The wine slides down his throat like liquid velvet, carrying with it the essence of peaceful vineyards where workers move slowly among the vines, their movements unhurried and deliberate. He can taste the earth in which the grapes grew, the rain that nourished them, the sun that brought them to perfect ripeness. Each sip is a reminder of all the simple pleasures that make life worth living. Around him, the crew settles into their evening routines with the practiced ease of those who have spent countless nights at sea. Some gather around a small brazier, sharing stories in voices so low they barely rise above the sound of the waves. Others tend to equipment with the careful attention of craftsmen who take pride in their work. A few simply stand at the rail, gazing out at the star-filled sky with expressions of peaceful contentment. The ship's cat, a sleek creature with fur the colour of midnight, picks its way delicately across the deck. It pauses to rub against Odysseus's legs, purring with a sound that vibrates like a tiny engine of contentment. The animal's presence adds another layer to the evening's tranquility, a reminder that even the simplest creatures understand the value of peaceful companionship. Stars wheel slowly overhead in their eternal dance, each point of light a distant sun warming worlds beyond imagination. The constellations tell stories of their own, tales of heroes and monsters, gods and mortals, all reduced to gentle patterns of light that guide travellers safely through the darkness. Tonight these celestial narratives speak not of grand adventures, but of quiet journeys taken by those wise enough to appreciate the beauty of a peaceful passage. The temperature drops slightly as night deepens, and crew members wrap themselves in soft woolen cloaks that smell of lanolin and sea salt. The fabric has been worn smooth by many washings, made soft and comfortable through years of faithful service. These are not the rich robes of kings or the elaborate costumes of ceremony, but the practical garments of working people who understand that true comfort comes from simplicity. Odysseus pulls his own cloak closer, feeling the gentle weight of the wool settle across his shoulders like an embrace from an old friend. The garment carries memories woven into its very fibres, storms weathered, calm seas crossed, nights spent under stars in places whose names have been forgotten by history. Each thread tells a story, but tonight those tales are set aside in favour of the simple pleasure of warmth and comfort. The ship continues its unhurried progress across the dark waters, following currents and winds that care nothing for human ambition or desire. This is travel as the ancients intended it, not a race against time or a conquest of distance, but a gentle surrender to forces greater than oneself. The vessel moves like a living thing, breathing with the rhythm of the waves, responding to each shift of wind and current with the grace of a creature perfectly adapted to its environment. The moon climbs higher, casting everything in silver light that transforms the familiar into something magical. The ship's wooden surfaces seem to glow with an inner radiance, as if the vessel itself has absorbed moonbeams and now releases them in a gentle, steady luminescence. Each plank of the deck appears polished to perfection, smooth and warm beneath bare feet that have walked these boards through countless voyages. A gentle splash announces the presence of dolphins alongside the vessel. These graceful creatures surface and dive in perfect synchronization with the ship's movement, their sleek bodies cutting through the water without disturbing its peaceful flow. They seem to understand that this is not a journey of urgency, but one of contemplation, and their presence feels like a blessing from the sea itself. The sound of their breathing as they surface creates a rhythm that blends seamlessly with the other night sounds. Each exhalation is a soft whisper that speaks of deep contentment and perfect harmony with the ocean's ancient rhythms. They glide alongside the ship like escorts, their movements so fluid they appear to be dancing rather than swimming. Odysseus watches them with wonder that has not diminished despite decades spent upon these waters. Their playful grace reminds him that the sea is not merely a highway to be travelled, but a living realm filled with creatures who have mastered the art of moving in perfect harmony with their surroundings. Their presence transforms the journey from a simple passage into a shared experience with the ocean's most joyful inhabitants. The ship's cook emerges from below deck, carrying a tray of simple fare that fills the air with comforting aromas. Fresh bread still warm from the galley oven, olives that glisten with golden oil, cheese aged to perfect creaminess, and figs so ripe their sweetness can be detected from across the deck. These are not the elaborate feasts of royal banquets, but the honest food of sailors who understand that the simplest meals often provide the greatest satisfaction. Crew members gather around in small groups, breaking bread together with the easy camaraderie of those who have shared both storms and calm seas. Their conversations flow like gentle streams, meandering from topic to topic without urgency or need for resolution. Stories are told not to impress or instruct, but simply to share the comfortable pleasure of human connection. The bread tears apart in satisfying chunks that reveal an interior soft and fragrant with herbs. Each bite carries the taste of grain that grew in fields. Far from the sea, harvested by hands that worked in rhythm with the seasons, the olives burst with flavour that speaks of ancient groves where trees have stood for generations, their roots deep in earth that has known the footsteps of countless farmers. As the meal progresses, the atmosphere grows even more relaxed. Voices become softer, movements more languid, as if the very act of sharing food has deepened the evening's tranquility. Someone produces a small wooden flute, its surface worn smooth by years of handling. The melody that emerges is simple and haunting, a tune that seems to have been born from the sea itself. The music drifts across the water like a gentle breeze, each note hanging in the air before dissolving into the night. It is not a complex composition, but rather a series of sounds that complement the ocean's natural symphony. The flute's voice weaves between the splash of waves and the creak of rigging, creating harmonies that seem to emerge spontaneously from the combination of human artistry and natural rhythm. Other crew members begin to hum along, their voices blending into a wordless chorus that requires no rehearsal or direction. The melody flows from one person to another, each adding their own interpretation while maintaining the song's essential character. It becomes a communal creation, owned by no single individual but belonging to the entire company of peaceful travellers. The dolphins seem to respond to the music, their movements becoming even more graceful as they weave patterns in the water that mirror the song's gentle cadence. Their presence creates the sense that the boundary between human and sea creature has dissolved, leaving only a community of beings sharing the same moment of perfect tranquility. Odysseus finds himself humming along, his deep voice adding a foundation to the ethereal melody. The sound vibrates in his chest, creating a physical sensation of harmony that spreads throughout his body like warm honey. He closes his eyes and allows the music to wash over him, feeling each note resonate with something deep within his spirit. The ship's motion becomes even more gentle, as if the vessel itself is responding to the peaceful atmosphere created by its inhabitants. Each roll and sway feels deliberate and soothing, like being rocked in the arms of a loving parent. The hull cuts through the water with barely a whisper, creating a wake that spreads behind them in perfect symmetry before dissolving back into the ocean's embrace. Time loses all meaning in this suspended moment between day and night, between wakefulness and sleep. The boundaries that usually define experience begin to blur, leaving only the immediate sensation of perfect comfort and absolute peace. The ship exists in a bubble of tranquility that seems protected from all the chaos and urgency of the wider world. A shooting star traces a brief arc across the heavens, its light reflected in the gentle swells that surround the vessel. The sight draws soft exclamations of wonder from those who witness it, but even this moment of excitement feels muted and dreamlike. The star's passage serves not as a dramatic interruption, but as a gentle reminder of the vast cosmic dance of which they are all part. The warm breeze carries new scents as they drift past unseen islands. Wild rosemary mingles with the salt air, followed by hints of pine and the green smell of growing things. These fragrances arrive like whispered messages from distant shores, promising rest and refreshment without demanding immediate attention or response. Gradually, crew members begin to settle into their sleeping places with movements that seem choreographed by the night itself. Blankets are arranged with careful attention to comfort, pillows positioned just so, as each person creates their own small sanctuary within the larger piece of the ship. Their preparations are unhurried and thorough, performed with the reverence of those who understand that good sleep is one of life's most precious gifts. The ship continues its endless journey across waters that stretch beyond the horizon in every direction, carrying its cargo of dreamers toward destinations that exist as much in the realm of sleep as in any physical location. The lanterns aboard the vessel begin to dim as if responding to some unspoken signal from the night itself. Their golden flames flicker lower, casting longer shadows that stretch across the deck like gentle fingers reaching towards sleep. The light becomes softer, more amber, creating pools of warmth that invite rest without demanding attention. Each flame dances with the ship's motion, creating patterns of light and shadow that seem designed to lull the mind into peaceful surrender. Odysseus makes his way slowly toward the stern, where a simple sleeping area has been prepared with cushions stuffed with dried lavender and seagrass. The fragrance rises with each step, carrying with it the essence of summer meadows and coastal dunes where these materials were gathered by careful hands. The scent mingles with the salt air to create an atmosphere so deeply calming that breathing itself becomes a meditation. The cushions yield perfectly beneath his weight, conforming to his body as if they had been crafted specifically for this moment of repose. The fabric covering them has been softened by countless washings in seawater and sun, creating a texture that feels like silk against the skin. As he settles into place, the gentle rocking of the ship seems to synchronize with his heartbeat, creating a rhythm that speaks directly to the body's need for rest. Around him, the crew completes their evening rituals with the quiet efficiency of those who have performed these actions so many times they have become as natural as breathing. Ropes are coiled with careful precision, equipment secured with knots that will hold through any weather. Each task is performed with a meditative quality that transforms necessary work into something approaching prayer. The ship's cat emerges from the shadows and settles beside Odysseus with a contented purr that vibrates through the cushions, like a tiny engine of tranquility. Its warm presence adds another layer to the evening's comfort, a reminder that peace is often found in the simple companionship of creatures who ask nothing more than to share the moment. The animal's breathing becomes another element in the night's gentle symphony. Above, the sail has been adjusted to catch just enough wind to maintain their leisurely pace without creating any unnecessary motion. The canvas billows gently, filled with air that carries the coolness of open ocean and the warmth retained from the day's sunshine. The sight of it against the star-filled sky creates a sense of being cradled between earth and heaven, supported by forces both ancient and eternal. A crew member approaches with a small brazier, filled with glowing coals that emit the faint fragrance of aromatic wood. The warmth it provides is gentle and steady, creating a circle of comfort that extends just far enough to encompass those who gather near. The coals pulse with a soft red glow that seems to breathe in rhythm with the night, each ember a tiny heart beating with contained fire. The sound of distant waves breaking on unseen shores reaches them across the water, a reminder that land exists somewhere beyond their floating world. But these sounds do not speak of arrival or destination. Instead, they create a backdrop of gentle percussion that speaks of continuity and permanence. The ocean has been breaking on shores since the beginning of time, and will continue long after all current voyagers have found their final rest. Someone begins to tell a story in a voice so soft it barely rises above the sound of the waves. It is not a tale of adventure or conquest, but a simple narrative about a fisherman who found perfect contentment in watching sunrise paint the water gold each morning. The words flow like honey, sweet and golden, creating images that drift through the mind like pleasant dreams. The story unfolds without urgency or dramatic tension, each detail offered like a gift to be savoured rather than consumed. The fisherman's small boat, the way morning mist rose from the water, the taste of bread shared with seabirds who had learned to trust his gentle presence. These simple images create a tapestry of peace that settles over the listeners like a soft blanket. As the tale progresses, other voices join in with their own memories of quiet moments discovered in unexpected places. A garden where time seemed to stop among blooming roses, a hillside where sheep grazed in eternal contentment, a kitchen where the simple act of kneading bread became a form of moving meditation. Each story adds another thread to the evening's tapestry of tranquility. The moon reaches its zenith, casting everything in silver light so pure it seems to cleanse the very air. Under its influence, the ship's wooden surfaces take on an almost ethereal quality, as if the vessel has been transformed into something crafted from moonbeams and sea foam. The water around them glows with reflected light, creating the impression that they float not on an ocean but on liquid silver. Dolphins continue to accompany their journey, their presence now so natural it feels as if they have always been part of the ship's company. Their breathing creates a counterpoint to the human voices, while their graceful movements through the illuminated water add a visual element to the night's peaceful symphony. They seem less like wild creatures and more like ancient spirits appointed to guide peaceful travellers safely through the darkness. The temperature has dropped to that perfect point where the human body requires just enough warmth to remain comfortable without becoming drowsy from heat. Cloaks are pulled closer with gestures that have become automatic, creating individual cocoons of warmth within the larger embrace of the night. The wool holds the day's sunshine in its fibres, releasing it slowly throughout the hours of darkness. Conversations gradually fade into comfortable silence as the profound peace of the night settles over everyone aboard. Words become unnecessary when the simple act of breathing the same air and sharing the same gentle motion creates a communion deeper than language. The silence is not empty, but full, pregnant with the kind of understanding that exists between old friends who have shared countless peaceful moments. The ship's timbers creak softly as they flex with the ocean's motion, each sound a note in the wooden symphony that has accompanied countless voyagers to sleep. The vessel seems to be singing to itself, a lullaby composed of the interaction between crafted wood and eternal sea. This music has no beginning or end, existing in an eternal present that encompasses all who sail upon these ancient waters. Odysseus feels his eyelids growing heavy with a weight that comes not from exhaustion, but from profound contentment. His breathing deepens naturally, drawing in air that carries the essence of everything peaceful about the sea. Each exhalation releases tension he did not know he carried, leaving behind only the pure satisfaction of a traveller who has found exactly where he belongs. The horizon blurs into gentle obscurity as the distinction between sea and sky becomes less important than the overall sensation of floating in a universe designed for rest. Stars wheel overhead in their eternal patterns, but their movement is so slow as to be imperceptible, creating the illusion that time itself has paused to allow for perfect peace. A gentle swell lifts the ship higher for a moment, providing a broader view of the moonlit seascape that surrounds them. The sight reveals an ocean that stretches endlessly in all directions, its surface broken only by the gentle patterns of wind and current. It is a vision of infinity made tangible, a reminder that some journeys are valuable not for their destinations, but for the peace they provide along the way. The dolphins begin to fade into the darkness, their departure as gentle as their arrival. Their final breaths create small fountains of silver spray in the moonlight before they disappear beneath the surface, leaving only the memory of their graceful presence. Their absence feels not like loss but like completion, as if their role in the evening's piece has been perfectly fulfilled. The ship continues its unhurried passage through waters that seem to exist outside the normal flow of time, carrying its cargo of dreamers toward whatever peaceful shores await in the realm of sleep. The realm of sleep. The brazier's coals pulse with their gentle rhythm, casting dancing shadows that play across the deck like spirits of peaceful dreams. Each ember glows with the warmth of a tiny sun, contained and perfect, offering just enough light to create intimacy without disturbing the night's natural darkness. The aromatic wood releases its fragrance in slow waves, carrying hints of cedar and sandalwood that have absorbed years of Mediterranean sunshine. Odysseus adjusts his position slightly on the lavender-scented cushions, feeling the dried flowers release their essence with each small movement. The fragrance mingles with the salt air to create something entirely new, a perfume that speaks of both land and sea, of gardens tended by careful hands, and waters that have cradled ships since the dawn of navigation. His body sinks deeper into the soft bedding, muscles releasing tension he had forgotten he carried. The storyteller's voice continues its gentle cadence, weaving tales that require no concentration, only the passive pleasure of allowing words to wash over the consciousness like warm waves. The fisherman in the story has discovered a cove where time moves differently, where each cast of his net brings not fish, but moments of pure contentment. The images flow from one to another, like scenes viewed from a slowly moving boat, each picture complete in itself, yet connected to the whole. A crew member moves quietly across the deck, bare feet making no sound against the smooth planks. In his hands, he carries a small clay vessel filled with water that has been infused with mint and honey. The liquid catches the moonlight as he pours it into wooden cups, each portion measured not by volume, but by the recipient's need for comfort. The drink tastes of spring mornings and wildflower meadows, cool and sweet against the tongue. The ship's motion has settled into a rhythm so perfect it seems choreographed by the ocean itself. Each rise and fall of the hull corresponds exactly to the natural breathing of someone in deep sleep, creating a sensation of being rocked in arms infinitely patient and loving. The vessel moves as if it has become part of the sea's own dreaming, carried forward by currents that flow not toward any earthly destination, but toward realms accessible only through surrender. Above, the sail has been adjusted once more, its canvas now barely filled with the night breeze. The fabric moves with liquid grace, rippling like water itself, creating patterns that shift and flow in harmony with the stars overhead. The sight draws the eye upward toward the celestial dome, where constellations wheel in their ancient dance, each pattern a story told in points of light that have guided travellers since the first humans ventured beyond the safety of shore. The dolphins have returned, their sleek forms visible just beneath the surface as they glide alongside the ship, with movements that seem choreographed by the moon itself. Their presence creates gentle phosphorescent trails in the dark water, streams of living light that follow their graceful bodies like liquid starlight. They surface and breathe in perfect synchronization with the vessel's motion, their exhalations adding another voice to the night's peaceful chorus. One of the younger crew members produces a small stringed instrument, its wooden body polished smooth by countless hands. The melody he coaxes from its strings is barely audible, more felt than heard, a series of notes that seem to emerge from the night itself rather than from any human creation. The music weaves between the sounds of water and wind, creating harmonies that exist in the spaces between conventional notes. The tune speaks of journeys taken not for conquest or discovery, but for the pure pleasure of movement through beautiful spaces. It tells of mornings when mist rises from calm harbours, of evenings when fishing boats return with their holds full of silver treasure, of nights when the sea becomes a mirror reflecting the dreams of all who sail upon its surface. Each phrase of the melody dissolves into the next like watercolours bleeding together on wet canvas. Odysseus feels his consciousness beginning to drift like the ship itself, moving between wakefulness and sleep without concern for the boundary between states. The distinction becomes less important with each breath, each gentle roll of the vessel carrying him deeper into a realm where time flows like honey and thoughts move with the unhurried pace of clouds crossing summer skies. The cat beside him purrs with such consistency it becomes another element of the night's rhythm, a small engine of contentment that vibrates through the cushions and into his bones. The animal's warmth spreads along his side like captured sunshine, while its breathing creates tiny movements that match the ship's gentle motion. The creature's presence transforms solitude into companionship without requiring anything more than the simple sharing of space and peace. Lantern flames flicker lower as the night deepens, their light becoming more amber, more golden, creating pools of warmth that seem designed by ancient wisdom to promote rest. The illumination no longer serves to banish darkness, but rather to create gentle transitions between light and shadow, spaces where the eye can rest without strain. Each flame dances with the ship's motion, creating patterns that hypnotize rather than stimulate. The water around the vessel has taken on an almost magical quality, its surface broken only by the gentle wake that spreads behind them in perfect symmetry. Moonlight creates pathways across the waves, silver roads that seem to lead toward destinations existing only in dreams. The sight draws the mind away from concrete thoughts toward the kind of wordless appreciation that exists beyond language. Stories continue to flow from one voice to another, each tale simpler than the last, each narrative requiring less attention and offering more comfort. A baker who found enlightenment in the daily rhythm of kneading dough. A shepherd who discovered that his sheep taught him more about contentment than any philosopher. A child who spent an entire summer afternoon watching shadows move across a garden wall, finding in their slow progress a lesson about the beauty of patience. The ship's timbers continue their wooden song, each creak and groan a note in a composition that has been playing since the vessel first touched water. The sound speaks of wood that grew slowly in ancient forests, of trees that swayed in countless breezes before being shaped by skilled hands into this floating sanctuary. The hull flexes with each wave, not resisting the ocean's motion, but accepting it with the wisdom of materials that understand their purpose. A gentle breeze carries new fragrances from distant shores, the green scent of olive groves where fruit ripens in its own time, the sweet perfume of night-blooming flowers that open only when darkness provides the proper stage for their beauty. These aromas arrive like gifts from places where life moves according to natural rhythms, rather than human urgency, reminders that peace exists wherever beings align themselves with the deeper patterns of existence. The horizon has become indistinct, sea and sky merging into a single entity that encompasses all possibilities. In this borderless realm, the ship floats like a thought in the mind of a dreaming god, carried forward by intentions too vast and gentle to be fully comprehended. The vessel exists in perfect relationship with forces that ask nothing more than surrender to their ancient wisdom. As the night reaches its deepest hour, Odysseus surrenders completely to the ocean's eternal embrace, his breathing now synchronized with the rhythm of waves that have lullabied countless souls to peaceful rest. The ship continues its timeless passage through waters that exist beyond the reach of earthly concerns, carrying all aboard toward that gentle shore where dreams and reality merge into perfect tranquility. Sweet dreams.